Well, it's council preview time. I got Steve Barg, City Administrator, sitting next to me. I'm Tom Loucks, Communications Director. We're going to talk about the upcoming council meeting. It takes place on Tuesday. This is a Wednesday, the 18th, right?
Yes.
All right. So what date do we have? I don't have it in front of me. Is it the 22nd?
It'll be the 24th.
24th.
Yep.
See, I knew I was off.
Tuesday the 24th, coming up soon here.
All right, Steve. Well, let's get right into this agenda. It's not really big at this time, although things can change over the next 2 days. So we're going to go over the highlights we know now, which is a little bit less than a week away.
Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings that have been lighter agendas than the ones back earlier in the summer, but like you said, something may come up at the end, and we'll go through what we know today.
Sounds good. Well, we're going to start off, as always, it's always public comment and our Pledge of Allegiance, but let's get right into the news. Public hearing resolution's going to be there, so anybody from the public can come and talk about that. Is that right?
Yeah, whenever we have a public hearing, whether it's at the council level or at the plan commission, it has to be at the beginning of the meeting or as early as possible, because you send out letters to people and you tell them the meeting starts at 6 or at 7. You don't want them sitting there till 9:30 waiting for their chance to comment. You want to get them as early on the docket as possible. This one, Tom, is a public hearing on a resolution 2021-50. It would be setting special assessments for those properties that are being assessed for infrastructure improvements for the new Daniels addition. And for those people tuning in and haven't heard what Daniels addition is before, even though I know we've talked about it a lot, that's the new city subdivision, 23 single-family lots to the south and west of Lincoln and West 5th. So it's going to be a great subdivision, and a lot of work's going on while you and I talk. People are putting in all the utilities and everything. This will be for certain lots in that subdivision that will have to be assessed a certain amount for their portion of those improvements. It's not all the lots, but those that will, we have to set that up. And so this is a chance for anyone to come and express any thoughts or concerns about that. Later on in the agenda, Tom, there'll be a request by Tom Turchie, the city engineer, to have that resolution approved with any changes the council might see fit to make.
Alrighty, let's move on from our public hearing and also what you talked about, the resolution, which will be later on in the meeting. Presentation by Visit Marshfield.
Yeah, this is really exciting, Tom, and it's always good to hear some positive things. Sometimes later in agendas you get into some really difficult issues, and there might be some things where people don't agree. So whenever you can have a positive announcement, it's a good thing. Matt McLean, the executive director for Visit Marshfield, does an outstanding job with tourism and promotion in our area. He's going to be at the podium along with Jeff Anderson from the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. There may be some other dignitaries there as well. It'll be a presentation of what's called a GEM grant, and that stands for Joint Effort Marketing Grant, being presented to the city, actually to Visit Marshfield and its partners for a marketing program here. And then after the presentation's been made of that grant award, then Matt will be providing some information in terms of the marketing plan that they're working on, the marketing project, and how they can use these monies to attract more people to come to Marshfield and the surrounding area and get people here for the various events and activities and really bolster tourism in our area. So it's a win-win. It's great to get a grant from the state. Always good to get money that you need for a project from another source. And like I said, he'll be tying it to the intended plan going forward to do more promotion and tourism here in Marshfield. All
right, so it's information only right now?
It is. And like I said, it's two pieces. The first part is just a celebration of the fact that, that here's the grant from the state. I don't know if it'll be one of those oversized checks we always laugh about that you can't go to the bank with, obviously. But it's nice that Jeff Anderson is coming from the state to do this. And like I said, there'll probably be some other dignitaries on hand. So we'll celebrate the grant award, and then Matt will put a little meat on the bones, so to speak, in terms of what the project is that the monies are going to be used for and how that will help Visit Marshfield and our community.
All right, well, let's move on to roof replacement. It's a building of ours, is that right? Just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, it's a park and recreation maintenance shop. It's located at 512 East 25th Street. Probably a lot of people listening to me, don't even know what that building is or where that building is unless you've been in that part of the community. But when we do improvements, Tom, we put on a new roof on some of our various buildings or other types of improvements, heating and electrical, it usually has a life expectancy. In this case, we had this last done in 2007, and the product was a 10-year warranty involved with it. So the warranty expired in May of 2017. That doesn't mean you wake up on June 1st of 2017 and replace it. But there have been some issues, there have been some concerns. In the last few years, the roof has began to leak a little bit. They've done some, patching to get through, but we really do need a new roof for that building. So we went out for quotes, and the quotes we got were kind of varied, actually. If you look at them, they range from $23,000, a little less than that, up to $63,000. But the company we're going with is North Central Insulation. They're out of Eau Claire. They did have the low bid at $22,486. And so we'll be looking at getting that improvement done here soon. It'll be a total replacement of the roof on that building on East 25th. So it's one of those things, it's not real glamorous. You'd like to spend $23,000 another way, but just like at your own house, you've got to keep up your roof, you've got to keep up the siding, you've got to keep up all the things that are part of maintenance. We have to do the same thing here at City Hall.
Yeah, in 2007, it's a while ago already, you believe it? So things do need to be replaced. There's quite a wide gap in here of prices that we received. I guess I'd say prices, maybe there's a better word to say, not prices.
Yeah, the quotes.
Quotes, yes. But generally we would take the lower bid, is that right?
We would, unless we have some concerns that they didn't fully understand the project. Now, there were 3 sheets in here that went along with this that the contractor submitted. I don't have them in your packet here right now, so I can't maybe look at why the prices are that varied. But our staff, Tom, usually goes back if it looks varied and tries to make sure, did the low bidder, the person with a low quote, did they fully seem to understand the project, or did they miss something that led to an underbid? And everything I'm hearing suggests that the bid from North Central Insulation is a good bid, and it's a good company that we can use to get this work done. So it'll be about a 15-year life of what had a 10-year warranty on the old roof, and then we'll get the new improvement in.
All right, Steve, let's move on to our next piece here. This was brought up, I bet, in Finance, Budget, and Personnel last night, right? Filling a vacant equipment operator? Is that a piece?
That is something that we do rather regularly. When people retire, we have to come to the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee and then get council approval. And this really started maybe 2 or 3 years ago, Tom. I think people who followed us know that we've had some budget and financial issues. So typically, if you go back to 2015, if somebody retired from street division, we would just go out and replace. We had 27 people before. We need to get that 27th person on board. But in 2018, when we struggled with some of our issues with the structural budget deficit and the financing concerns with that TIF issue, the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee put down a marker saying, look, we want to review and authorize every replacement, even if it's simply replacing a person that seems so obviously something you would do. We want to be able to say that, because there might be a point in time where we say, look, could we combine that job with another job? Could we go without for a while? I mean, we have financial concerns. Now, we've made a lot of progress in the last 2 to 3 years in terms of our financial situation. Got a lot more to do, but the committee still wants to review these when they come forward to make sure that it makes sense to replace, and then the council has to give its blessing as well. So that's why you're seeing that on the agenda.
All righty, Steve. And you may not be able to answer this. Equipment operator 1 position, is that a general position that goes out in the streets? Would they plow as well, possibly, or not sure?
Yeah, I think they all, pretty much everybody does the snow plowing. But as far as what pieces of equipment, because we have an equipment operator 1 and equipment operator 2, exactly what pieces of equipment the operator 2 can use that the operator 1 doesn't, I'm really not sure. But when you talk snow plowing in the winter, I really believe that you see sometimes an all hands on deck, although that's not typically my world. But you start as a 1 coming on board, and then many people are able to work up to being a 2, gives them higher pay and more responsibility.
Yep. Well, it's not just using a hammer out there.
No, I can't say enough about our street crew. We have some really great people out there, and they, it's one of those areas that is kind of unsung. The only time people notice them is if there's a pothole or something that they complain about, and I'm not trying to be negative about citizens, but that's understandable. They don't see the incredible job that these guys, that these folks do all year round to maintain our streets and other projects related to streets, and so I want to give them a good shout out this morning.
Alrighty, Steve, let's talk about a firefighter paramedic, a vacant position. I know we just hired 3, but that's different positions, I believe. They just started this week. Yeah,
I think what's noteworthy about this one, Tom, is we've had this happen a few times now, where someone is deploying to the military. So we have someone who's been activated for military training, and that person may be out for as much as 2 years. Well, we need to fill that position. We can't go with 1 fewer firefighter paramedic. So we want to replace them, but we had to go through this with the committee in it may come up again with the council. Well, what happens when that person comes back? Because, we're required to provide a position for that person, when they come back from military leave. Well, are we now adding people? Is that a problem in terms of our budget? Well, the understanding is, and it's conveyed in the memo from Scott Owen, and it was conveyed to the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee and the Fire and Police Commission earlier. If in fact we've not had any retirements to where we can fit that person in without adding another full-time equivalent, then the most recent person hired would likely be, laid off. What Fire Chief is saying is he expects a couple of retirements in the next couple of years. That won't be a problem. So, we want to honor that military leave, let that person go serve his country, and then have a spot for him when he comes back. But we want to be fully staffed during that time, and that's what the intent of this is.
Alrighty, makes sense there. Important to have people on staff because emergencies happen not when you want them.
Almost never convenient, Tom.
No,
Almost never convenient.
No, I was skipping around, and as you know, our viewers, you can probably see I'm doing triple duty here of doing switching and being a host. I missed this piece that you had highlighted before you came. I believe the bid operating plan. It's a resolution. Did I miss that?
You did, and that's okay. You got a lot on your plate, and like you said, you're juggling a lot of duties right now in this interview. This is noteworthy, and again, it comes up once a year, and I'd like to explain it if I could briefly to the viewers. The BID is the Business Improvement District. We have an area downtown that has its own separate taxing authority. The intent is the people in that area, the property owners, tax themselves to raise money to try and help keep the downtown up, maybe make some physical improvements, maybe work with Main Street to get some programming done to bring people downtown, Hub City Days and other things that will help the stores and the businesses to succeed. So they're basically taxing themselves for their own improvement value. And so once a year they have to determine how much money they want to tax themselves, and that gets thrown into the hopper along with the general city taxes that those property owners who are affected in that bid area will have to pay. Historically what they've done, Tom, is they've been raising $66,000 from themselves, and typically they've been handing it over to the Main Street to utilize for the good of downtown. But they don't just say, here's a blank check, have a good day. They have, as part of adopting the resolution, they expect and get and review an operating plan from Main Street. So Kaylee Gomez, who does a great job working with her board, she came forward and presented an operating plan for 2022, saying, look, this is what we expect to do next year for Main Street. Here's the projects we want to do, here's the programs, here's the special events, here's our goals and our objectives for calendar year 2022. And then the board members from the Business Improvement District ask questions. They maybe raise concerns about how the monies might be spent, because they're representing the taxpayers of that area that are giving this money through their taxes. Well, what happened recently was they did have a meeting. The board was satisfied with the plan presented by Kaylee, and they did endorse it. They did recommend approval of Resolution 2021-51. So this will go to the council under consent agenda for them to accept the bid minutes, but also to accept, if they find it appropriate, the bid resolution and the operating plan. Now, right now, the way it's proposed, the resolution says that there would be $1.36 per thousand of value added to the taxes of the property owners in that downtown bid. It was $1.35 last year, so it's pretty similar. And so when they get their taxes paid to the city and the county and the school district and the tech college, they also see this extra $1.36 per thousand that they pay. That money is segregated and used for downtown improvement.
All right. Well, that better explains what that is. You don't hear about it all the time, so thank you for that. I appreciate that, and I think our viewers do as well.
Yeah, and these are, again, I like to highlight unsung heroes sometimes, and I think the people, I go to the board meetings at Main Street sometimes, Tom, they're volunteers. They're not getting paid to show up on these meetings and to help with special events. I just want to say thank you for all they do for the community, and Kaylee and other staff as well.
All right, thank you. All right, you have another piece in here, official city map, something changes, what's that all about?
Yeah, periodically, in fact, I gave you a piece of, I think the code, if you happen to find it there, section 30. It's the last section of the city code at the back of the packet. The official city map, it doesn't just show the streets that we have paved today that you drive on. It also has master plan streets where we plan to put a street in someday when there's a need for it, to further development and more building. and some other things. So periodically, we take actions that are intended to modify the official city map, where we say, look, we're not going to put a road in anymore there, and we vacate it. We actually take that off the city map. So when you do those kind of things, you have to make sure that at least periodically, you go back, take those modifications, and amend and update the official city map. So what is going to be requested here by Josh Miller of the council is, we'd like to refer this to the Planning Commission for their next meeting in September, I believe, to take a look at the official city map, take a look at some of these issues, and make recommendations as far as finalizing changes to bring forward so that the map is kept updated. A lot of people walk in to see Josh or a member of his staff. You definitely want that map to show the current conditions in terms of where the platted streets are and what the current conditions are as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, our new subdivision, that'll have new streets. And that'll be wanted to be put on this map. Just for clarification and for our viewers, this has nothing to do with our redistricting.
No, not at all. Good clarification. This is totally separate from the redistricting. That's about making sure that the district boundary lines are appropriate. This is about making sure that the current and planned future conditions as far as our streets and roadways is accurate.
All right, I thought I'd bring that up, Steve. And let's talk about communications. That's what I do, and there was some concerns and things brought up, I brought up, and was on the agenda by one of the council members on our finance, budget, and personnel on the 3rd of August. So can you address that, please? Yeah,
and I may kind of turn around at some point and have you answer a couple questions too. I'm not trying to take your job away from you of interviewing me, but I get to do that once in a while.
Sure.
The basis for this is what you said. On August 3rd, at the request of Councilmember Fisher, the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee did talk about communications. And, they really want to get the word out. They want to see as much information, education, and public engagement as we can get. And that really fits well with you and David and the work you've been doing here for the last couple of years, and you have a desire to do more. The concern that was raised was whether or not there's any roadblocks to having that happen. So there was conversation about whose job it is between you, for example, and the department heads. Are we able to collect the information to get out to the public? When is it ready to be disseminated? Because we want to inform them and keep them up to date as our tax-paying citizens. So there was no action that night. But what came out of it, I took from it, is I asked our staff to watch that video. It was about 32 minutes, the discussion, and our department and division heads, so our staff leaders have seen it. We had a meeting the other day that included you and me and our staff leaders and talked about it. And I think there were questions raised, good ones. I think many of our staff leaders didn't feel as though they were being unhelpful. They want to see you do your job, but they're trying to understand exactly what you need, and you want to describe what you need from them. It's kind of connecting the dots, and I think it was a good conversation. It didn't resolve everything, but I think there's an understanding that we need to do more teamwork together, more one-on-one communication where we can to really further the goal of what the council was talking about, which is let's get the word out about what we do. Where do you see things right now, Tom?
Yeah, thank you for that, Steve. It's a difficult process. Communications is one of the harder things that we all do, not just city, but in life. Yeah. We all know that, and there's so many ways to look into it. People's actions, people's reactions, what they say, what they shouldn't say, and that's not really what we're talking about. But I'm just saying it does. The message is sometimes hard to understand, but yeah, it is important that we work together as a team. This is new for our city as well as new for a lot of municipalities to have a communications department. When's the last time that you know of that a full-fledged department came into a city? Not very often. Yeah. And that's not an easy process. Yes, it's been 2 years, right? Yep. But there's going to be a lot of growing pains, and there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding along the way. And myself, I have to understand that, as well as our public and public officials, yourself, and we're working through those. And it's my job to help guide that and work through that. Sometimes, there can be misunderstandings, and we're not trying to cause any harm to anyone. It's just trying to do better. And that's what we're doing. So we're all looking at it together and work as a team. What can we do to help better get information out to the public? It is a team approach because there's a lot of stuff that are happening within those departments that are so important. And they're the ones that are going to be able to help us as long as, and us as well, to work together. So hopefully I kind of explained a little bit.
Those are good points, Tom. And I guess I just want people to know that we have some outstanding staff leaders in various departments. They're super knowledgeable about what they do, and they're also really busy. I mean, I think between you and me and the staff leaders here at the city, most of us work more than 40 hours. So it's not like we're kind of hanging out wondering what to do with ourselves. And that busyness does create some situations where maybe we don't always connect. I just want the public to know that this is kind of a reminder to us that we want to get as much information out as we can at the right time, of course, not prematurely, but we want to inform you. We want to engage you in what's going on in your community, and we'll keep working on it. I'll be giving this report to the council of some of the things we talked about, and if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, please bring them to us. We'd like to hear from you, the things that you'd like to know or hear about that we're not perhaps getting to you right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of communication tools, platforms, they will say. What works for you? I know everyone gets it a little bit differently, but we do want to hear that. It's important for us to know that what we are saying is reaching to that audience.
Yeah. Well, we are in one team, and I think you're going to continue to see us work toward this unified approach of working together to get the information out as best we can. In the most appropriate ways possible.
Yeah, and city's great at working on the team. Don't get me wrong. We wouldn't be able to lay a street. We wouldn't be able to plow. It's just this is different, and it's something new. Teamwork has always been done well before I was born here for the city. We wouldn't have infrastructure in the ground. It's pretty easy, I think, for that. This is new, so we're going to work through it out, and that's common in about anything. Working it out and moving on.
I agree.
All right, Steve. Anything else? I bet we're getting down to the time here.
Well, we're wrapping up summer, which is kind of sad. I guess a lot of us, look forward to summer, and then it comes to the end, and we wonder where it went. Did we have time to get out to the cabin or to the campground or whatever? But as we look ahead to September through December, I'll just mention the fact that the budget process is going to crank up here. You'll be hearing a lot about that as we have another challenging year in terms of trying to bring forward a good budget for the council to consider. As we get into the latter part of the fall, it'll be time to start thinking about elections. December 1st will be the starting date for filing, and just kind of an advance notice that I believe it's the odd number of districts and the mayor position that will be up for grabs. So if you're interested, let me know. If you have questions, let Deb Hall, the city clerk, know. Be glad to try and address anything that you have if you're thinking about running, or someone who might be thinking about running.
Yeah, wow, that is here before we know it. It's already going to be September. We're here August, not even the middle anymore. We're getting towards the end. I can't believe it. The summer's going to be over. I think this is just another good opportunity just to mention our city hall hours for the next couple of weeks. Is that right? Yeah,
we're still doing thank you for bringing that up, Tom. We're still doing the summer hours. It's a 4-week trial period. Right now, as we talk, we're in week 2, and we're closing it at noon on Friday. Employees are still working 40-hour weeks. They're just working slightly different schedules during Monday through Thursday. But we did this because we kind of came to the conclusion that just not many customers are calling or coming in to see us on Friday afternoons for the same reason we're talking about. They're also trying to get to their cabins and campgrounds and get out and have some summer fun in Wisconsin. This will run through Friday, September 3rd, and then we'll go back to the regular hours of 7:30 to 4:30 every day. And I'll be bringing a report to the council on September 14th. Let them know how it went. Was it successful? Did we get a lot of complaints? Did we learn some things about problems it created? All in anticipation of perhaps bringing it forward as a permanent request for the 2020 summer, or 2022 summer. But again, it'll be up to what the council feels about the experiment.
All right, Steve. Well, that sounds like it's going to be a wrap here for our program. We're going to have a few more, an extra week off, isn't that right?
Yeah, we have three Tuesdays. We have 5 Tuesdays in August. If we had 3, it would be really a story, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
We have 5 Tuesdays in August, so we'll have 3 weeks between council meetings. So that means the next one will not be until September 14th, which actually seems like a long time from now. When we get to that point, I think some of the staff level budget discussions will really be crank it up, and we'll be looking at where things are going.
All righty, well, we will know where you are over the next several weeks as in your office working hard on the budget, so
Yeah.
we thank you for that. And we will sign off here. Steve Barg, City Administrator, Tom Loucks, Communications Director, City of Marshfield. Tune in on Tuesday night, the 24th of August, 6 p.m., and you can watch this council meeting on the platform you're watching right now. So we'll see you then. Thank you.